You don't have to feel stressed about it. It's people actually like these distractions. Oh, she's a normal person. She also has mosquitoes. Hmm.
So I really feel kind of like something is grabbing me, something that is holding me
Yeah.
from area from between the shoulders. The best way that worked for me actually is not meditation, but letting go of the stress, letting everything out in the gym. But before, I cannot just wake up the next morning and love myself unconditionally. That's not lie, because theory is one thing and reality is another thing. Those things do not happen overnight. Cultivating a sense of gentleness towards yourself is a good place to start from, because all these kind of things that we mentioned, from self-compassion, self-love, self-care,
Mhm.
requires time to learn and to cultivate. What is self-compassion? How can I do it? And then we just feel disappointed, and that stress is our body's response to different situations that we encounter in life. And our it's just how we respond and work and make this healthy stress our best friend that will keep us. Stress is not our enemy. Love your stress. When you are able to recognize the stress and kind of like have the right tools, you know how to manage it, then you are safe.
The animal just shakes the stress off and continues in their life like nothing happened. What we as a humans have this invention of chronic and long-term stress. When we it becomes chronic, it suppresses our immune system.
It depends on how we respond. It always depends on that. And the amount of self awareness that we have, you actually feel low on energy. You're not that bubbly and in the morning, not excited about life.
We could be eating like perfect diet. However, if we're under the stress, our digestive system is not actually able to absorb this stuff, good stuff we're eating, because it's working inefficiently, and we get might get some also malnutrition. Suggest everyone just to observe, and if you don't know where to start with the neck and shoulders. How do you feel in neck and shoulders?
As I myself still am a work in progress. Find what really works for you and brings you joyful energy, because one fit size formula does not work for every one of us. Just be active, because that what will work. That is your best friend. And I should say that the gym was an essential part of my recovery. So it's my favorite place, and everybody knows that. I tried swimming, it didn't work. I tried also dancing, but it didn't work. I felt for 6 months, I felt like those things are taking away from my energy. I don't belong into that.
Push ourselves into someone else's frame or someone else's lifestyle might not be the best solution.
So now I'm, with journaling, with, let's say, meditation, or at least mindful breathing, having and working on my self awareness, I'm able to recognize those stressful situations, and I learn tools to kind of like help myself befriending it, kind of like trying to be more gentle with my own self, and as well continue to learn how to deal with it.
I'm less harsh and a bit more gentle.
Just part of, things happen. You're not perfect. You're not meant to be perfect. Such a thing does not exist. So once I recognized this, and with journaling, after each mistake, it really helped me to tap into this place where I am choosing to learn and move forward, rather than staying there with, regret.
We're approaching 1 hour mark, so we should do a reset in a conversation. And I would love to invite you to Rachida as well, and I will do the same. Neck rolls or any exercises and shoulder rolls. So whatever feels nice, and also it could be massage. And I'm always doing it like I would say like a dog, like or maybe a horse, just doing it really fast, and it works for me. And the second thing is hydrate yourself. So
So just recognizing that I have a choice,
mm,
change the situation, or at least change how I respond to a situation when I cannot control a situation like the pandemic. I mentioned that like any human being, I felt like so many things have been taken away from me. But when I'm in doubt, I'm not afraid of reaching out for a friend and
Mm.
say, if you have 5 minutes, I just need something that I need to let out of my chest. And if this person is not present, I always have a pen and a paper.
You already appreciate and count in. I'm baking, I'm cooking, I'm spending time with family, I'm doing chores, I'm cleaning my house. And this is actually physical activity. It's kind of an exercise.
Being conscious of what I'm eating without depriving myself from anything. You can be stripped away, everything can be taken away from you, but you still have making a choice to just smile and laugh. And
I got a bit of indulgence in chocolate because of the excuse of the chocolate day.
yeah, that's good. I mean, sometimes I have those kind of like things where I call them guilty pleasures.
Mhm.
I don't like to deprive myself from anything as long as
Yeah.
it's not harming my health and it's not binge eating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the regret is, I think, the most important part, not to have it, because sometimes you can do something that's really bad for you, but then you do more damage by actually feeling that guilt afterwards. Then I think I would love to start the interview with you just introducing with yourself.
thank you. So I'm Rachida. I'm from Algeria. I'm a nonprofit mental health activist. I also the founder of the Mindsafe podcast. I have my own full-time job as an import specialist for. I work here for a private company that I'm not allowed yet to announce, and content creator as well.
Yeah, the idea about this podcast and its name, the Love Your Stress, is to bring awareness to the stress to actually anyone who's interested. And I like to always start with the getting us on the same page. So, how would you define stress in your own words?
Thank you. First of all, congratulations
Thank you.
on launching your own podcast. And I think you chose a topic that is important because we are all kind of like impacted by stress, whether we recognize that, whether we are kind of like aware of it or not. So congratulations, Tom, and I wish you all the best with, kind of like as well growing up your podcast. And I love the name as well, Love Your Stress, because throughout the years, if there is one thing that have learned to not treat my own stress as an enemy,
Mm.
because in that case, I would be losing. And to me, from my own experience, my own lived experience, stress is, I would like to see it as my body's response to, different situations that we encounter, whether they are kind of like when I experience something new, whether a situation that is not under my control, but I try to control it.
Mm.
Um, I'm guilty of that. I've done that in the past and a lot. So it was causing me an enormous stress. And I would like to, as well, let's say, remind myself and remind the audience that here we need to kind of like recognize and acknowledge two types of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And that stress is our body's response to different situations that we encounter in life, in our, friendship, family, relationships, or even just being stuck in the kind of like in the traffic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at work as well, or school, for example, when you have exams or when you have something, a deadline fixed, and you need to submit something, you're actually kind of like under stress. But we have
Mm-hmm.
to stress. We have healthy stress and unhealthy stress. So we need to benefit from that healthy stress, because when we have a deadline and we are rushing and we are kind of like motivated to submit that thing, it's actually working for us. It's just how we respond and work and make this healthy stress our best friend that will keep us. And we need to be aware of the unhealthy stress and recognize it and need to kind of like calm us ourselves down and kind of like back up when we encounter unhealthy stress. And I guess we will be talking about those kind of things later on in the conversation.
I think now is the best time to touch this topic because I not always touch specific difference because you just mentioned the healthy and unhealthy stress. What are your ways of distinguishing which one is which one?
Mhm.
Because I think it's really important.
Yes, I think from my own lived experience, and as I started my healing journey, so I started to educate myself on these kind of things, and especially that I've spent like 10 years in the corporate world, kind of like I admit to myself that I encounter a good amount of stress. Like anyone who, whether they are entrepreneur or a student, we all encounter stress. But what makes it kind of like different from one person to another is that how we respond to this stress. And healthy stress, for example, as I said, when you have a deadline, your body is helping you by kind of like pushing you towards that deadline. But an unhealthy stress might cause anxiety disorders or even kind of like chronic stress. When we are, for example, in a toxic relationship and we don't have the awareness and the tools to kind of like regulate ourselves and to just, protect ourselves from this toxic relationship or toxic environment, we are under unhealthy stress. If it's kind of like not periodic, if it lasts for a long duration, then this is unhealthy stress. Because why? Our body releases certain hormones when we kind of like under stress. It's the stress is kind of like how our bodies and minds perceive stress, something that is threatening us, even if it's not. When we experience something new, for example, the body and the mind are not used to that, so they perceive it as, as stress. So when your body perceives something as you are in a dangerous situation, this is a threat for the body and the mind,
Mm.
certain hormones are released in our body, and we are on the state of fight or flight, right?
Mhm.
So if this state and your immune system is kind of like not regulated, not in the normal situation for a long amount of time, for a long period, then this is unhealthy stress because it's not treated, you're not aware of it, and it's causing damage to your body and mind. So for me, that's how I unify. If it is periodic, it's normal, it's helping me. I need to recognize it and just, later on we'll discuss how to manage our stress. And at the end, I wanted to remind myself and you that stress is not our enemy. So we just, need to kind of like, as Tom's, and this is the name of the podcast, love your stress. When you are able to recognize the stress and kind of like have the right tools, you know how to manage it, then you are kind of like, safe.
Yeah, I love how you touched upon sporadic stress and chronic stress. So there's one type of stress which is really short term. And recently I had this nice discussion where we had this really amazing example from animal world where like animals they have this really high intensity really short term stress which is like existential stress when there's a zebra and lion and lion comes to eat zebra and zebra has stress for a really short period and after the danger is over fight battle is over and if the animal survived then the animal just shakes the stress off and continues in their life like nothing happened and life goes on. However, what we as a humans have this invention of chronic and long-term stress when we maybe not don't have this high intensity and short bursts, but we have it like background, always having it. And as you said, if we have it for extended periods of time, it becomes chronic. It suppresses our immune system. It doesn't disable it completely, but you can imagine that if it's always on, instead of being 90 and 100%, if it's like 20 or 30, we can get all kinds of diseases and, well, bad reactions out of stress. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree more on what you said. And I think the example that you gave about zebras and lions reminds me of a book that, unfortunately, I haven't read it yet, but it's from a well-known psychologist that I do not remember the name, but it does exist. So I just need to refresh my mind and look up for the book. But yes, I think I think the most dangerous part is that when when you do not have the right self-awareness, so we are not aware of what is going on. We do not know how to regulate ourselves. We do not know how to kind of like let go of that periodic stress and just get back to our normal life and help our bodies and minds to just I don't know. I'm sorry, but this is kind of like mosquito. It's summertime, so it's the Mediterranean, something that happens. Um, but I would say that it depends on how we respond. It always depends on that and on the amount of self-awareness that we have. And the mosquito didn't want to to leave. This might be causing a little bit of stress that I'm not aware of.
Actually, may I interrupt you a bit and make a interesting side note from my experience when I'm teaching yoga, and there are people on a background. Usually, people when they pass or are in a background, they feel a bit of this guilt. Oh, I'm disturbing your class, and I'm in a scene, and sorry. But actually, what I've and yeah, they feel like this guilt. Yeah, there's something, I'm doing something wrong. But actually what happens, my viewers, they usually actually like that there's something new happening in the background in the scene. It is a distraction, but it's a pleasant one, because then it's like, oh, there's something new happening there, and they actually love these kind of things. And I would like to point out to you that as a viewer, when someone does it like this, for you it feels like a stress and you're kind of distracting, but people love distractions. And for people, it's like, oh, something new happening, something interesting, there's something catching my attention. So keep on uh, feeling okay with these kind of things, and you don't have to feel stressed about it. It's people actually like these distractions. Oh, she's a normal person, she also has mosquitoes. So yeah.
If you live in the Mediterranean kind of like, zone, let's say summertime means mosquitoes, and no matter what you do, they are still there. So I'm not kind of like stressed, but this is demonstrated really a small kind of like example of your body when they or yourself a situation where you encounter something that is unexpected, something new, something that is disturbing you. Yeah, in the perfect world, this might seem like a disaster. Oh, I'm afraid about my self-image, what people will say about me. I'm a content creator and this and that. So we just need to let go of this and just remind ourselves of our humanity, and these kind of things happen. And as you described it, something new, it means that I need to know what is going on, and something that is unusual, which makes this kind of like conversation not boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
I
a good
hope so.
point, because for you, the something new might be a bit stressful because you're the one dealing with it. But for the other side, for the people watching it, for the viewers, it's something exciting, something unexpected, and people love these kind of things. So I'm not sure exactly what you were talking about before. If you remember, you can continue. Otherwise, I could give you a next question.
Yeah, actually, I was just saying about, I just commented on the book, and then actually the example that you gave us about zebras and lions, and that there is actually a famous book that I cannot remember right now. Uh, It's related as well. It's for a famous psychologist. But I will try to kind of like go to my notebook and find this book and send it to you, Tom. I hope that you will share it with the audience.
I think we're talking about the same book because the example I gave was given by the friend who also mentioned the example from the book. And the book name I think was "Why Do Zebras Don't Get Ulcers?"
Oh yes, yes, that's the right book.
So yeah, that's why I gave this example because it's still fresh in my memory. So as you define the stress, and also I really love the point that you pointed out that awareness is actually a big part of it because sometimes it usually can happen that we have this low background stress, and because our brains are used to tuning things out to save energy and automate lots of things without awareness that we are stressed, we might just not notice that we are stressed. And that's because we don't notice it, we don't take any proactive action, and it might become a bigger problem afterwards. So it's really important to know and notice this stress. So my question next to you is how do you experience stress? How do you notice stress in your life? Like I would still love to start with this body specifically. So I would love to go as specific as possible. So how do you notice stress in your body?
Mhm. Yeah, this is a very good question, and thank you for asking that or for addressing that part because stress actually manifests in our bodies,
Mm-hmm.
and once you kind of like notice certain kind of like signs, you kind of like have the awareness. Oh, maybe today I encountered stress, and the mosquito is back again.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I would say it's kind of like having difficulties to sleep, which is the most common thing that we experience as
Mm-hmm.
human beings. The other thing is as well kind of like pain around the neck area and in the shoulders. And for me, which is really important, I don't know about others, but for me, it's really present. The mosquito is back again. It's present between my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So I really feel kind of like something is grabbing me, something that is holding me
Yeah.
from area from between the shoulders. So I know that I have encountered stress that may be for me a situation that was minor, and because I did not let myself be in that moment to let go of
Mm-hmm.
that stress, my body is now trying to tell me that, Shida, you need to do something. You encounter stress. You need to be gentle to yourself and just need to let go, release that stress. Outside that, also, it could impact the digestive system, uh, irritation, you know, not kind of like I wouldn't say a severe change in the mood, but you kind of like experience that. You actually feel low on energy. You're not that bubbly and in the morning, not excited about life. And yes, for me, those are just from my lived experience. You know, I don't know. There may be kind of like people who have it even more, especially with the digestive system.
Yeah.
Um, that could be a problem, a serious problem for some people. But for me, that's what I have experienced.
Actually, I have a similar experiences, and for a while I had noticed that under the and afterwards I researched it. It actually is a thing that under stress we also paralyze. Not really paralyze. That would be a pretty strong word to say. But same with the immune system, it brings down this efficiency down to low levels, and same things happens to our digestive tract. So actually, if we are under the stress, then our digestive system doesn't work properly. So that means that we're not absorbing nutrition we eat. So we could eat really healthy, like we'd be eating all bio, all fresh, and whatever the healthy diet looks for you. We could be eating like perfect diet. However, if we're under the stress, our digestive system is not actually able to absorb this stuff, good stuff we're eating, because it's working inefficiently, and we might get some also malnutrition problems at the end of it. So this is like one of the things I think I experienced, and I was thinking, okay, I'm eating quite well. I even have supplements and everything else. So why do I feel like I might have some nutrition problems? And turns out it's can be caused by um, chronic stress. That was the one thing I wanted to point out. Do you have something to say about this?
Uh, I would just, remind myself and share with the audience that when your body is telling you, sending you some signs, please listen to it. Take a moment to breathe and just, listen to your body. Take care of your body. It's your temple. I know it's a cliche. We say it, we repeat it, we know it. We just, like that, having that gentleness towards
Mm.
ourselves. And gentleness is not a type of weakness. And when you take care of your body and just pause to listen to what your body is telling you, it's not a form of weakness. You are taking care of that body. You're not treating it as a sort of machine that is there for you. And the mosquito's back again. You
Yeah.
have two guests today. And
Well,
she's in the mosquito.
yeah, I really loved how you said that for you it's first because I'm thinking about stress prevention already a bit. So that means, and you said it's really important, and I completely agree to pay attention to the body responses. And sometimes people might get a bit overwhelmed and not know, because if you don't practice body awareness, then where do I start? And you gave two really great examples, neck and shoulders, and that's quite common. Sometimes people also feel it in chest, depending on situation and emotions combined with the stress. Because yeah, that these are the three areas I would suggest everyone just to observe. And if you don't know where to start with the neck and shoulders. How do you feel in neck and shoulders? How do you feel in chest? Maybe in your stomach. So these would be actually four areas. And we're actually segueing into the next question, which is emotions. How does it feel, stress, emotion wise
Oh, this
for you?
is, very complex part of recognizing stress, right? Because as a human, we do not have the full awareness. I myself still am a work in progress. I'm trying to be aware of each emotion I encounter. It could
Mm.
be overwhelming at certain times. I do it over, I do a lot of journaling to just, tapping into those emotions and see what I'm bottling or what I'm, just trying to to recognize. One thing I would say that people that kind of like there is a good book to Suzanne David. It's Emotional Agility, which I shared about recently, and she actually kind of like describes this very well. And as human beings, we either belong to a type of butlers, where you kind of like shove away your stress. You do not recognize any emotion, and you just continue to go forward until that will come a one day where you just, let everything out in a not a very healthy way, either some sort of anger or
Mhm.
irritation. So whenever I feel anger or frustration, I ask myself, what I'm when I'm not releasing parts of emotion
Mm.
that I have just suppressed. So I try to name it, label it. And as well, I do this throughout journaling and or what I'm, having kind of like meditation. I try to, after each session, to just, not hurry up and just, get up. I finished my meditation. Yay, I need to go. It's not that type of energy, but I just let me also share that when I do meditation, it's not, for hours, it's not even half an hour. Try to do it for even 10 minutes. If I reach 10 minutes, this is a super mega achievement for me, just like any beginner in this
Mm.
world. But I try to sit after, this a specific amount of time with my own self, not in a kind of like meditation mode, let's say,
Mhm.
um, but just trying to sit there with whatever comes to me. And in those moments that I find clarity, which what emotions kind of like suppressing, or what I'm brooding about, what I'm kind of like, venting to the point that it's not healthy because I'm not allowing myself to stop, pause, and find the solution. So I just wanted to tell people, if you are kind of like feeling angry, you need to see what emotions are you suppressing. If you are feeling resentment,
Mhm.
you are brooding and venting and not trying to find a solution to your problems, and you're giving your power away, then you need to just name all these emotions, either it's anger or something else, and try to find a solution for what is situation that is causing this kind of stress. So usually that's how I deal with the emotional part,
Mm.
with the stress.
Yeah, I love how you already gave a example and solution. Not only named a couple of feelings you encounter, like anger and frustration and overwhelming.
Mhm.
So yeah, that the practice of actually sitting down during the day and not actually waiting till end of the day, because you said one of the ways how you recognize that you've been too much stressed is by not being able to sleep. But that means that you have to wait till end of the day till you can notice this symptom. So actually sitting down during the day for a couple of minutes as a regular practice, just to notice, am I stressed? Am I still okay? Is an awesome practice. And I would recommend everyone. And it doesn't have to be sitting down actually, because also um, some people don't find it even more stressful to sit down. And I would recommend also going for a walk. That's also an amazing way how to both observe and release stress at the same time. So you might observe it leaving your body, like as you walk.
Let me say something here. The best way that worked for me actually is not meditation, but letting go of the stress, letting everything out in the gym.
Mm.
That I'm a beginner in meditation, and it's helping me in wonderful ways, to find stillness, find clarity, and of course to tap into those emotions and kind of like knowledge what type of emotions I'm having. But I would say that if you have anxious feelings or feeling overwhelmed or facing stress, your best friend is definitely exercising. Whether you want to swim, run, or dance, find what really works for you and brings you joyful energy. Because, one fit size formula does not work for every one of us. Maybe you're not the type of the person who would like to go to the gym and feel joyful. Then maybe running is your thing. Maybe dance. Maybe you're kind of like doing ballet or swimming.
Mm.
Or, I don't know, any type of sport. Just be active, because that what will work. That is your best friend.
So yeah, I usually love to continue on the same topics. We kind of jumped into the later part of discussion I was planning on, and it's a physical exercise. So you already mentioned a couple of really great examples, and I was wondering what kind of physical exercises you're doing during your regular week, regular day. So what, and it's, as you said, it contributes to stress release quite tremendously. So people not always link it together in their minds that when you're stressed, physical exercise will help to release it. And sometimes, if you're really deep under the stress, you don't want to do anything. You want just to lay down and relax. So, what are those exercises you're doing, let's say regularly?
Oh, yeah. So years ago, I was diagnosed with eating disorders, and you know that. And I should say that the gym was an essential part of my
Mm.
recovery. So it's my favorite place, and everybody knows that. Um, Not everybody, but the people that I'm connected with actually, because
Yeah.
I speak about this a lot. It really helped me to recover from my eating disorders and get back on track, save my life. And I just feel healthy and alive in this place. But before that, I did not give up because I was requested to be active. I was not that person, who's active, who's aware of what's going on. I was in total denial of my, eating disorders. But once I had a conversation with my doctor when, I had two choices: either start taking action to recover, or being hospitalized completely. So I started to, step by step with, of course, the help of the doctor. So I tried swimming, it didn't work. I tried also dancing, but it didn't work. I felt for 6 months, I felt like those things are taking away from my energy. I don't belong into that.
Mm-hmm.
When you go with kind of like expectations, like any human being, then you just, after a session, you just, I'm not, this joy, that feeling that makes me alive is not there. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not meant for me. I one day tried the gym, and the gym for someone who had eating disorders and was almost anorexic, um, it's not the best place, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just believe in myself, and I found a coach that helped me to achieve my goals really over, let's say, a period of healing and recovery that took 3 years. So if I have
Mm-hmm.
something to people, being active is actually, and there is a saying that I want to also bring in here. Um, Movement is the language of the brain. Your
Mm-hmm.
brain knows exactly the language of movement, even if it's a simple walk. You are actually not only helping your body, but you are helping your brain. And we all know that. We know the benefit of exercise. So we're not here today to tell you what to do. It's just a gentle reminder and a real life example that when you're feeling stressed, just, don't be afraid of exploring of what works for you, being active, whether it's simple walk or something else. And for me, after the COVID, I'm exercising at home, to answer your question. But before the COVID, it was the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like regular. Uh, I would say that 3 times a week is what really used to work for me. And now I do it even more. But let's say like one day I exercise for 30 minutes, one day off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm exercising at home. I'm not, kind of like doing as much as I used to do. So that's what worked for me. But I arrived to this point with exploration, and also by asking professionals what really works. This is how what I noticed in my body, and that's what is really working for me. And it's okay if you skip one session, 1 week. It's okay. Just go back to track. Don't be stressful. Don't be kind of
Mm-hmm.
like pointed, and don't let a bad day or bad week affects your kind of like your progress.
Yeah, I really loved how you mentioned, and my sister always reminds me this well, and lots of people will resonate with this thing, that there is no one size fits all, and it's okay to let things go. And your examples are just beautiful. Like swimming and dancing, they're really awesome ways to exercise and release stress as well. However, it might not be for you, so it's okay to let these things go. And for me, for example, in my case, I love doing yoga, so yoga is for me. However, it's not for everyone, so we also have to be acceptful and respectful for other people. That yes, I can promote yoga as a really awesome way of dealing with stress, but I also have to be aware that it's not really for everyone. So it's an awesome way. However, it's not the best way for everyone. And in your case, you found a gym and you're really happy and it works for you, and that's amazing. But for me, gym isn't the place where I feel the most like a fish in water. So yeah, I really love how this, like, we have to accept we have our identities, we have our preferences, and trying to push ourselves into someone else's frame or someone else's lifestyle might not be the best solution. So I really love how you touched upon this subject. Yeah, we have to be accepting of ourselves. Yeah, that's in short.
Yeah, and there is nothing wrong with that. And, if swimming didn't work for me, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Yoga works for you, and gym works for me, and we're all different and unique. And it's really about you, what really works
yeah,
for you, what brings into your life, what makes you really enjoy, be in that moment, and don't feel like this activity is actually taking joy from me. And I feel like it's a more of a task, which is not.
yeah. I love also how you gave a tip. And I just want to point it out for the people to have it clearly in front of them. And how do you like? How do you know what is for you and what is not for you? And you mentioned two things. First, the thing that is for you brings you joy, and you feel like it contributes energy. And the thing that's not for you, it takes away joy and takes away energy. So if after the task you feel like down and feel like it's been exhausting for you, maybe you should try something else. Another thing is that it's a journey. So you might not know what's the best for you right now. It might take years. For some people, it takes years to find these things out. And it's okay to accept, okay, I don't know the answer now, but I'm still doing, I'm still trying, and it's a journey. Yeah. We touched about how we recognize stress in our body. Then we go for the feelings. Are there any thought patterns or something in the mind that you can identify that you've been stressed or you are stressed at the present moment?
Mhm. Yeah, I would say that also there's the psychological part where you usually do not kind of like pay attention to. It's, the anxiety that you face, because stress is also when you are not able to focus. It also touch, it causes deficiencies on memory, and also on the psychological part, you're not able to focus on one task. So it is a sign that there is something going on there. Not because of all the distractions. It might be the case, but if you're not able to focus for a longer kind of like period, and it's not just one moment or two, then there is something that is going on there. And as well, we all know the anxious thoughts that we have, anxiety that we deal with when we encounter stress.
Yeah, the focus is pretty awesome way of diagnosing the stress. And my next question to you is, how would you describe your relationship with stress?
Here I should say that there are two phases of my life. Before my eating disorders, I was in complete, um, I was having a complete unhealthy relationship with stress. And it was making me feel exhausted because I was in denial of my eating disorders for a long period, just trying to put a mask on it, when I'm outside, and pretending, and, in front of people, that is just a severe anemia and weight loss that I was dealing with. It was just, part of the anemia that is causing the weight loss. But then when I go home, I have to let go of this mask and just, be with my own self. So it was exhausting. I was really under kind of like high levels of stress.
Mm-hmm.
Have something and you try to hide it, you are causing stress to yourself more than anything. You are kind of like damaging your body and mind in ways that you just cannot recognize in that state. Um, so yeah, I would say that it's it's not an easy situation to be. And after I started my healing journey and recovery journey and started to educating myself and with the therapy sessions that I had, and also the recovery, in my own body, and doing what is necessary, I should say that I started to educate myself and have a better relationship. Um, it's still work in progress. I don't have to lie, because we are all humans. So now I'm, with journaling, with, let's say, meditation, or at least mindful breathing. having and working on my self-awareness, I'm able to recognize those stressful situations, and I learn tools to kind of like help myself and to make my body release this amount of stress. So my relationship right now, I'm working on not letting stress to be my enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's befriending it and kind of like trying to be more gentle with my own self, and as well continue to learn how to deal with it. That's how I describe best my relationship with stress.
Yeah, but if I would love to, I love sometimes to simplify and condense things. So, would you agree that your relationship with stress is a journey of bringing more self-compassion and awareness to your to what happens inside of your body?
Definitely, definitely is a journey. Because when we say that, when we talk about self compassion, it might be portrayed in certain ways. We're talking about the masses that it's sort of laziness and weakness. What is self compassion
Mm.
in any way? So that's why I do not try to push the term of self compassion,
Mhm.
because I was in my recovery journey and was in complete denial. I did not know what self care means, what self love, what self compassion. Wasn't really aware of
Mhm.
all of this.
That's a valid point.
So what I started with is to cultivate what I call some sort of gentleness towards.
Gentleness.
So it's a good place, in my opinion, where people can start from. You're not harsh on yourself. You do not know how to be self compassionate. You do not. I mean,
Mm.
I I I did not know what self love means. But before, I cannot just wake up the next morning and love myself unconditionally. That's not lie, because theory is one thing and reality is another thing. Okay, self love, we all want that. Who want to hate themselves, or who wants to have a harsh inner voice inside of their head nagging on them 24 hours? No
Mm.
one wants that. It's not the life that we want. But let's be honest that we cannot wake up the next day having um perfect plan of self-care, having an enormous amount of self-compassion, having the right self-awareness, having unconditional self-love towards us and other people. Those things do not happen overnight. So I'd say cultivating a sense of gentleness towards yourself is a good place to start from, because all these kind of things that we mentioned, from self-compassion, self-love, self-care,
Mm.
requires time to learn and to cultivate. So at the beginning, if we can try with just being a little bit more gentle each day with ourselves, then we are on the right road, let's say.
This is very, very important point, which I would love to really stress out and repeat again, because repetition is knowledge of the learning, and that's a really strong point. That when you're starting out, and we all start out in different stages, and as you said, self-love, compassion, there are really strong words, and in the beginning most people don't have any relationship with these words. They have no idea how they appear in their lives. They just don't understand what it is. And I love how I'm just trying to pick out the. So you start from being harsh on yourself, and you want to go to self-love. It's like when you go on a hike on the mountains, you have a couple of peaks in between, and you don't really see the end peak at all yet. Like that's the experience I've noticed from hiking, that you see this first peak up here and it blocks the view. So until you get up to the first peak, you don't see the second one. So we have to start out where we are. And if you're starting out on being harsh on yourself, then as you said, uh, you focus on being less harsh and more gentle. So you're not saying I'm gentle myself, you're saying I'm less harsh and a bit more gentle. And also, what I love, it might be good way of describing it. Another definition was trying to befriend the stress as well. Like those are quite soft, and I would love to dive a bit deeper on this topic because I already mentioned it. If you had to mention a couple of steps in between being harsh and self-love, what would be those key points and words that you can anchor? You notice that you anchored yourself in, like being more gentle, like giving some steps, because not everyone will. What I noticed, some people will resonate with some words and not with others. So if we can give them as many steps as we can, at some point, as they will, okay, I can catch on to this one. I will take this one. So what would be those things you would love to share from your experience? Those
Yeah.
steps.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, as humans, we can, and with a lot of information, with everything that is going on, we are encountered with a lot of information. So sometimes it's confusing and overwhelming. I mean, what is self-compassion? How can I do it? And then we just feel disappointed, and we just, we know that the mind loves what is familiar, so we just,
Mm.
okay, let go of this self-compassion. I don't understand it anyway. How can I relate? What is self-love? How can I practice it? So it's a journey. And why I stretch on the point of cultivating the art of gentleness. I like to do it in ways that, when we make mistakes, for example, when we commit mistakes. I don't know about you, but I notice that there is a voracious wolf coming in, sitting there inside of my mind and ready to take me on. This was in the past. And I think every high achiever, they recognize themselves in this kind of situation. We go hard on ourselves when we make mistakes. So I learned that I have a choice. I have, when we commit mistakes, we are left with few choices, actually. We have a choice. Either I let myself, to beat myself for a month or 2 months, or I don't know for how many days I'm gonna beating myself every single day over that mistake, or to just choose to celebrate this powerful lesson that I have learned and recognize that, okay, this is what I learned. I'm committed to not repeat this mistake again. This life moves forward. Now, it's not reckless. Of course, there's degrees of different grades of mistakes. But for the mistakes that we do every now and then, because we are humans, it's just part of, things happen. You're not perfect. You're not meant to be perfect. Such a thing does not exist. So once I recognized this, and with journaling after each mistake, it really helped me to tap into this place where I am choosing to learn and move forward rather than staying there with, regret and beating myself for the next 2 months or three. And the second thing is that when I notice myself kind of like being hard on myself, I notice this voice inside of my mind. I just step back and pause, whether throughout the day, whether it's for 3 minutes or 2 minutes. And just like to ask myself, Rachida, what part of you that needs your care and nurture and attention? What part of you did you neglect? What actually is triggering this sadness or this outrageous reaction that was not needed? So this allows me to figure out what part of my body or my soul that needs more nurture, because in reality that's what self-love is. It's just, giving your soul what is needed, taking care of your body, or at least for me, and being gentle to your body and to your mind. So these were kind of like steps where it just helped me. And also I would like to describe gentleness as a form of awareness, or it comes with, not it is, it comes with some sort of awareness. When you work on your self awareness, you are able to kind of like recognize some signs where you are being harsh, you're not giving yourself that gentleness, that love. And here let us just admit that it's not about being weak or being lazy. It's not the case. It's just I think we do not give enough love to ourselves, and we are so hard on ourselves as human beings, at least in this modern life.
So just to condense things again, which is something I really love. And first of all, I appreciate how you answered the question. Sometimes giving too many options overwhelms us. So I really love how you said, just gave a couple of steps. So what the things we want to move away from are being hard and harsh on ourselves, and trying to being too perfect. That's three things I heard from you. And the things that we want to move towards is just being more conscious, more aware, and more gentle of ourselves. So just
Yeah.
three things on each side, a couple of things to move away from and a couple of things to move towards to. And I think that was an awesome uh, answer. And there are two habits I want to interrupt this session. Habit from Clubhouse. We're approaching 1 hour mark, so we should do a reset in a conversation. And I would love to invite you to Rachida as well, and I will do the same. Neck rolls or any exercises and shoulder rolls. So whatever feels nice, and also it could be massage, could be rolls, anything, just to maybe even stand up and just release the body, shake it up. So just a quick reset. So anyone who's sitting down and listening to this podcast, I would encourage to make any movements, bring awareness to their neck. And what I usually love to do myself is not waiting till I feel stress in my neck. I would just, like, I'm an exceptional case. I'm doing it really fast, and the general recommendation for moving the neck would be do it as fast and slow as possible. I never like it. I never did it. And I'm always doing it like I would say like a dog, like, or maybe a horse, just doing it really fast, and it works for me. But for the other people's, I would caution to do it like really slow and with awareness and gentleness till you get used to and know your speed. So I already know my speed. I've been doing it for years, maybe decades, this practice. So for me, it's fine. I just want to caution everyone. And same with the shoulders. And the second thing is hydrate yourself. So
Yeah, definitely.
that's one thing I must remind myself consciously, and it doesn't happen automatically for me yet to keep drinking, especially when talking. So hydrating is the awesome habit to have, and just having that glass somewhere nearby, so you just get reminded just by being in there. So that's a quick reset, and let's continue on. And I'm gonna skip a couple of regular simple questions I usually ask, because I want to get to the meaty parts of the discussion. And I'm just curious, what are the most stressful areas of your life at the moment? So, what kind of sections of life stresses you the most? Which areas you find it more?
Yes. It's a good question because you know, life will always be life, right? And we all recognize, especially during the pandemic, that maybe it's not something that we can control, but it's causing a little bit of what I call grief, a little bit of grief, especially when you feel like something has been taken away from you. We felt like our life was taken away from us, right? And let's just be honest, it's not something I recognize. I'm aware, and my mind is aware of this. The, the pandemic is not something that I can control. I cannot control when it ends. I cannot control. Maybe it's not going anywhere, and we just need to, cope with that, and just life goes on like this. Although I hope that it will end soon. But it's something that I felt, and it was causing me stress. Not right now, but for a certain amount of time. Um, because all of the things that came with it, the change in work and our relationship, we lost that human connection. Um, we're not able to hug our loved ones. Um, the simplest thing have been taken away. Even going to the gym, the gyms are, they opened recently where I'm living, but I cannot go there because I'm not vaccinated yet. My turn is not had not come yet, and I have parents that I need to take care of and be aware of. So all of that's kind of things that we do not recognize maybe, but when they add up, they actually cause stress. Although we do not control. I'm aware that I cannot control it. But it's just my human nature. So this is the tricky thing between, when we say healthy and unhealthy stress. So it's just recognize it. So what is helping me is acceptance and being grateful for everything that I still have. I'm still breathing. I'm still alive. I'm still having my loved ones. I haven't lost any one of my loved ones, or at least, the people that I know, which is the greatest gift that I could be grateful for every day. So, and just like everyone else, maybe, part of work, the uncertainty that came with it, um, life in general, we all encounter some daily stress, either in, some relationships or just being stuck in the traffic could, cause stress. So I'm just another human being who has, or who is encountering stress on daily basis. It's like you. And
Mm.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
And about being proactive on managing stress, what kind of actions do you usually do when you notice that you are stressed? Let's say you're stuck in a traffic, or something comes up. Uh, what's your usual
Hmm. Yeah.
action?
Yes. So for me, I'd say, let's say continue with stuck in the traffic. So I just, try to kind of like cultivate the voice that is inside of my head without being, um, how to say, without being too lazy to take action.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell myself, if today I'm stuck in traffic and I'm going to be late for my work, tomorrow I have a choice to get up a little bit more earlier and to fix that. Maybe change the road. So it depends on each situation. So just recognizing that I have a choice,
Mm.
change the situation, or at least change how I respond to a situation when I cannot control a situation like the pandemic. I mentioned that like any human being, I felt like so many things have been taken away from me, but I did not act in extreme ways. It came with acceptance. It's here. It's not something that I can control. So I recognize that. This is acceptance for me. Do I have the power to change it? No. What can I do is to cultivate a sense of gratitude, to be grateful every day for what I'm having. And the second thing, to do my part on how to respond to this situation. And this is the most important thing because between each event, there is a stimuli, and that is few moments we either react on a fight or freeze moment, or to kind of like respond instead of reacting from, you know, just reacting to events, and that's what could be damaging. So having a choice to respond, analyze my options is what have been helping me on exactly and being active. Letting go of the stress with exercise, as I mentioned, is what helped me in managing my own stress.
And about being active, because yeah, how does it work for you? Do you do it during the day, or you have a strict job regimen? And how does it work? Do you do it like as like me myself? Or what I do is I just do these neck things and shoulder things whenever I feel like. It takes me like 2 seconds just to go through this, and then I'm releasing part of the stress. Uh, Sometimes I go for walks, and some people also like take breaks during the lunch. They go for walks, run. So they have some exercise also during the day. So how is it about you? Just your personally
Thank
activity.
you. So now that we're back to working from office,
Mm-hmm.
so we cannot do whatever we want, But still, I think I'm fortunate enough to work for a company where we have some sort of flexibility. And for myself, I either step back and just, in my own office, in my own chair, like to, pause for a few seconds and just breathe, which makes me, let's say that an email come and you already have an endless to do list and it's just
Mm-hmm.
adding, and you're just recognizing some sort of things that are not working on, and just work is compiling on your shoulders, and you just feeling the anger is there. And instead of going into the blaming area, I just like to step back and to just breathe and recognizing that in that present moment I'm doing the best that I can, and just go back and respond rather than just reacting to that email who just distracted me from my to-do list, and now I have to deal with something urgent that is completely new, unexpected, and I have other deadlines. And the second thing is that I have also a break lunch, so sometimes I like to go for a walk outside of the office. So just breathe, to charge that. I divide my kind of like I organize my break. So I eat, let's say, or I go for a walk and eat. Sometimes I eat and go for a walk. So it depends on the mood that I'm having on that particular day. But even I try to push myself, not push, but motivate myself to go for a simple walk, to just breathe outside of the office for 5 minutes, because that freshness will help you to, kind of like go with the rest of the day.
Yeah, people actually love to have some examples from other people just to compare themselves. That's one thing we love to do. We love to compare ourselves. So you said that you try to motivate yourself. What motivates you the most? Like just giving examples, just from daily life. Like this week, what motivated you the most to get up and go for that walk?
Thank you. Well, definitely this supportive community on LinkedIn. It's one of the major source of inspiration that I have, and that the friends and the mentors that I met here. It's a very supportive community, as I said. Like yourself, and the posts, the messages that I read, they're definitely a source of motivation. Um, and when I need to, as well, to, when I'm in doubt, I'm not afraid of reaching out for a friend and
Mm-hmm.
say, you have 5 minutes. I just need something that I need to let out of my chest. And if this person is not present, I always have a pen and a paper. So, I like to do things old fashioned. Just grab one paper and a pen, because I don't have my notebook, with me all the time. So he's what have been helping me.
Yeah, I love how you touched upon three solutions. First one was surrounding yourself with a supporting community. Second one was reaching out to the specific people just to have support, being brave about it. And the third one, when these two things either are not available or not working at the moment, having the journal. So you always have these at least three options. That's great motivators, yeah, and they're common as well, and good works because they work. And I think I would love to go for a bit more of the finishing series. And finishing series for me is series of questions. That means it's probably still going to be 20 minutes more of talking, depending on how deep we're going, maybe 5-10 minutes. But it's more like showing people where you are at the moment and how much physical activities you do during the week. Like you said before that it's half an hour of exercise, gym, 2-3 times a week. Is there anything else you practice? Like just to give like example, what works for you specifically? Doesn't mean that you recommend doing it as a some kind of goal or something. It's just like so people can understand where you are now and what works for you at the present moment. So what's your?
Thank you. Well, since I'm not able to go to the gym, as I said, it's for me one day workout, exercising at home, one day off, and it's around 20, 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Try to make it 30 minutes. Sometimes it's even more, depends on how much energy I have on each day. And also I walk. Besides, besides workout, I really walk. I also, not very common, but for me, it's just helping with my mom with home chores and so on. It's really good exercise.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. Also, let's say, and it's one of the kind of like, because I'm a female, it's one of the activities that I would love to do is with baking, to nurture that feminine energy in me. So baking and just being around the house and with my mom and family. So these are, I'd say, things not simple, but
I love it. I love your answer because another thing that people sometimes stress themselves about is that they think they don't do enough and that's because they don't recognize the activities and they don't appreciate the activities they already have. And you have this really beautiful example that you already appreciate and count in. I'm baking, I'm cooking, I'm spending time with family, I'm doing chores, I'm cleaning my house. And this is actually physical activity. It's kind of an exercise. And as long as you appreciate it as such, you have way more peaceful life. Yeah. I love your answer. Yeah.
Thank you.
And the next question is about sleep. How much usually you sleep?
It's between 7-8 hours, and I feel myself a little bit lazy when I have less. Let's say when I'm kind of like during the week, I slept around 6 hours or something. I try to wake up during the first day of the weekend, which is Friday here, and sleep a little bit, let myself to allow myself, give myself permission to just be a little bit more lazy, which is fine. No guilt or shame about it. So yeah, I try to, between 7 hours, and 7 hours is, enough for me to wake up the next day feeling focused and, do what is necessary.
Yeah, it's actually stages in life. I remember there was a point in my life where I was sleeping 4 to 5 hours, and then on weekends I would catch up to 6, 7 maybe. Then there was this period when I was just gradually around 5 to 6 hours sleeping, and that was enough. And maybe like once in a while, when there's a bit more stress, like I go for a longer hike or something, external stress happens, I will sleep a bit longer. And now I'm kind of in a period when I'm also allowing myself to be a bit more lazy. So I would sleep also around 7, maybe sometimes 8. And I'm kind of like not really watching the clock. It's like more like, okay, do I feel rested after the sleep? And that's like how I measure it now. And it's also one thing I want to say is that it changes over time, over life. And this week I could sleep this amount, and next week I could change it. And
Yeah, it's not stable. Definitely, it's not
yeah,
stable. It was the same for me. Years ago, I was also, sleeping barely, especially when I had my eating disorder, having difficulties to sleep, and barely 4 hours or 5 hours a day. But just, it changed as we grow up,
yeah,
as we healing.
yeah. As we go on to a journey. And the next question is, how do you feel about your diet and nutrition? How satisfied you are with it?
Oh, I'm not an expert, but as someone who had eating disorders, I never deprived myself from eating.
Mm.
You know, I never deprived myself. I'm not on any precise, diet. But growing up in the, Mediterranean in Nigeria, we eat a lot of veggies, and we kind of like have some sort of healthy, traditional food. Not the healthiest on earth. It's not Japan or Korea, but I would say that it's a mix of veggies and meat and but everything is in moderation.
Mm.
So not the best person to to ask this question for, but I'm a human being who is choosing to not deprive herself from anything. At the same time, I know what I'm letting in my body. I'm
Mhm.
not junk food. I'm grateful for passing over this. It's a choice that I made. I'm not saying you should do the same thing, but it's a conscious decision that I made, and I'm committed to this. I do not drink commercial juices, for example. Soda only on occasions. It's a
Mhm.
choice. It doesn't not tempting for me anymore. But I'm saying it on occasions. Occasions doesn't mean each weekend, but
Yeah.
I'm going out once in a while with friends. I don't want to be that friend who's I don't eat that, I don't eat that, I don't drink that, So I just go with the flow and
Mm.
consciously a little bit of soda, half a cup every once in a while won't kill you. So or a little bit of pizza would not kill you. So
Mhm.
my diet is basically treating food with being conscious of what I'm eating without depriving myself from anything.
So it sounds like you're quite satisfied with your diet.
Yes, I'm just a human being. I don't like restrictions,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't like especially diets because I feel like it's the biggest trap one can enter.
And how satisfied are you with your life in general at the moment?
How satisfied? I don't know if it's satisfaction, but I have a sense of contentment for
Mm.
having a supportive family, having a job, having the good thing is here, I'm going to tell a story. On the 5th of July, I was heading to the capital with my sister, and we met a group of refugees. And as much as I don't want to go into politics or what the government have done or what it cannot be doable, and I'm recognizing that even in a small individual, the nation will not change their situation. But I recognize, regardless of that, their circumstances, they don't have a shelter. They're just living outside. But they were laughing. At general, I was there having probably the biggest lesson of my life that you can be stripped away, everything can be taken away from you, but you still have making a choice to just smile and laugh. And believe me, there was some genuine smile that I haven't seen on probably since a long time. Um, Although I was wearing a mask, but I would say that that was the biggest uh, kind of like lesson in my life since a long time. Because then I recognized, Rachida, you have so much more to be grateful for. And even the simplest things, just like going on a walk without wearing a mask, having access to clean water, having shelter, all these kind of things we tend to take for granted as humans because it's there, it's here for us. But once you see and encounter and sit with other people, that even education, even having a shelter, these kind of things should not be taken for granted because you never know because life is so unexpected.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing this story. And I think that's one of the challenges everyone faces at some point of the life, not taking things too much for granted and actually appreciating what we have already.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you look back to our interview, because I'm already wrapping it down a bit, uh, what's your one takeaway from this interview? Like one thing that, okay, this is the one thing I would love to remember from this, or you would love someone else to remember?
Oh, if there is one thing, although I had, let's say I have some takeaways, since we already have been talking for an hour, I would say that the one thing that I'm going to take with me is the title of your podcast of Love Your Stress. Stress is not our enemy, it's how we respond to it, how we manage it, when we work on possessing the right tools to deal with our stress, either the yeah, working on self-awareness or cultivating some other tools that could help. So I just will say, love your stress, and thank you, Tom, for having me. It's been really a conversation that I deeply enjoyed. So I'm thankful for this invitation, and I hope that whatever I shared um, with you, I hope that it would be at least a little bit helpful.
Definitely.
So thank you. Thank you for having me and for having the mosquitoes today.
Thank you.